Hey everyone, Bipolar Blue here. November might seem like just another month, but it's actually packed with some really amazing moments in history. We're talking about huge events in music, unforgettable movie releases, and even world changing events. So, buckle up, because today we're diving into the highlights of November's past. And you might be surprised at just how much went down in this month. Let's start with music. And what better way to kick off than with the Beatles? On November 1st, 1969, their album Abbey Road climbed to the #1 spot on the US charts. Abbey Road wasn't just any album. It had songs like Come Together and Here Comes the Sun, which are still huge hits today. You've probably seen that famous album cover too, the one where the band members are walking across a crosswalk. Fun fact, that crosswalk is in London, and it's so popular that people still go there to take pictures, copying the band's walk. Back then, the Beatles were like music royalty. They had already changed music so much by 1969, and Abbey Road was one of their final albums together. It's one of those albums that just keep showing up in greatest albums of all time lists. They may not be together anymore, but their influence is everywhere, from rock to pop and even hip hop. Jumping ahead a few decades, let's talk about someone who rocked the world in a whole different way: Freddie Mercury. On November 24th, 1991, Freddie, the lead singer of Queen, passed away. Freddie wasn't just a singer, he was a superstar. With his incredible voice and onstage charisma, he could bring stadiums full of people to their feet. Songs like Bohemian Rhapsody and We Are the Champions aren't just songs, they're anthems. Freddie had a unique voice, one that could hit notes most people couldn't dream of. He wasn't afraid to be different either. He had a big personality and wasn't scared to show it. Losing him was a huge moment in music history, but his legacy lives on. Today, Queen's music is still played around the world, and Freddie Mercury is remembered as one of the greatest frontmen in rock history. Now let's talk about a game changer in pop music, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Released on November 30th, 1982, this album didn't just sell well, it became the best-selling album of all time. Thriller is loaded with hits like Beat It, Billie Jean, and of course, the title track, Thriller. The music video for Thriller was more like a mini-movie, complete with werewolves, zombies, and an epic dance routine. Michael Jackson's Thriller wasn't just an album, it was a cultural moment. People were trying to copy his moonwalk, dress like him, and sing like him. This album brought pop music to a whole new level and showed everyone that music videos could be just as exciting as movies. Even today, on Halloween, you'll see people recreating that famous Thriller dance. Talk about a lasting impact. Now, let's switch gears to movies. On November 3rd, 1954, a movie premiered in Japan that would go on to create an entire genre, Godzilla. This wasn't just any monster movie. Godzilla was about a giant creature rising from the ocean and stomping through cities, and it was a hit. People loved the suspense, the action, and the thrill of seeing such a huge creature on the big screen. What's interesting is that Godzilla was made in post-World War II Japan, and it actually reflects people's fears about nuclear power and destruction. The movie's success led to a long line of sequels, spin-offs, and even American remakes. Today, Godzilla is still one of the most iconic movie monsters, and the character has starred in over 30 films. So next time you see Godzilla on the big screen, you're watching a legend that's been around for almost 70 years. Next up, let's talk about a movie that changed animation forever. Toy Story. Released on November 22nd, 1995, this movie wasn't just a hit, it was a breakthrough. Toy Story was the first ever full-length computer animated movie. Before this, most animated movies were drawn by hand. But Toy Story showed that computers could create an entire movie, and it looked amazing. Everyone remembers Woody and Buzz Lightyear, But what really made Toy Story special was the way it told a story that connected with both kids and adults. It was funny, heartwarming, and had a little bit of action too. Pixar's success with Toy Story led to a whole new wave of animated movies, and today, computer animation is the standard. Who would have thought that toys coming to life could lead to a revolution in filmmaking? Moving on to world history, November 9th, 1989 was a huge day for freedom and unity. This was the day the Berlin Wall came down. The Berlin Wall had divided East and West Berlin since 1961, separating families and keeping people from seeing their friends. The wall was a symbol of the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union, and people in East Berlin couldn't cross to the West without permission. When the wall finally came down, people were celebrating in the streets, chipping away pieces of the wall as souvenirs. This event symbolized the end of the Cold War and showed the world that people wanted to be together again. Today, the Berlin Wall is remembered as a powerful symbol of division and ultimately of peace and unity. Another significant day in U.S. history happened on November 22, 1963, when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. JFK was a young and popular president, and his death shocked the entire country. People remember where they were when they heard the news, and it became one of those moments that everyone who lived through it will never forget. JFK had been working on big issues like civil rights, space exploration, and dealing with tensions with the Soviet Union. His assassination left people with a lot of questions and sadness. Even today, people are still fascinated by his life and the mystery surrounding his death. It's one of those events that really shaped American history. Finally, we're taking it back to 1918, when World War I officially ended on November 11th. Known as Armistice Day, this date marked the end of a brutal war that had involved countries from all over the world. It's said that on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting stopped, and there was a sense of relief and hope for peace. Today, November 11th is known as Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in many other countries. It's a day to honor those who served and remember the sacrifices made during wartime. The end of World War I was a huge moment in history, as it paved the way for changes in how countries interact and work together for peace. And that wraps up our journey through November's incredible history. Whether it's music, movies, or world events, November has given us so many memorable moments. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what you found most interesting. And hey, if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to buy me a cup of coffee. This is your boy Blue. Signing off, keep exploring, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.